Welcome to episode 89 of the Unstoppable Podcast with special guest Christian Thomson. My name is Dan J. Gregory and I am committed to hunting down the secrets of business mastery and human performance. My goal for the Unstoppable Podcast is to share insights from some of the most successful entrepreneurs, inspiring thought leaders, world-class athletes, and prominent celebrities to help you to become unstoppable in business and life. Each week I'll be bringing you a new interview with an inspiring person and sharing my own results as I pursue the answers to the question, how can I create the ultimate edge in my business, make a significant impact, and live an extraordinary life? Welcome to episode 89 of the Unstoppable Podcast, and this is the third interview in the New Year Transformation series. New Year's Eve might seem quite a long way away now, but it's not too late to start a transformation in any area of your life if you haven't done so already. In fact, let's be honest, the date and time really is arbitrary. What happens when the clock strikes midnight on the 31st of December? Nothing really changes apart from the date. It's just some of the decisions that we make in that initial few days of the new year that shape our future. So what matters is not the date or the time, but it's the decision to move forward and to make a change. So the unstoppable success formula that I live by is firstly to decide, to commit, to take action, and then to refine along the way until you reach your desired goal. But you'll notice it all begins with a decision. Now, one of the most popular decisions that people make at the beginning of a new year is the decision to transform their body. This is the physical transformation is often one of the most popular things that people look to seek to change with the new year. And from a selfish point of view, January is probably my least favorite time of year when it comes to physical progress because, like clockwork, each and every year, all of a sudden the gym goes from near empty to full for the entire month of January pretty much. But predictably roughly this time of year, it's the 26th of January as I record this, it starts to get quieter and quieter as people's motivation drops. So yes, from a selfish point of view, it is frustrating to suddenly have to queue up for the machines or the weights in the gym. But it is my wish, genuinely, for everyone to pursue a higher standard when it comes to your own physical well-being and fitness. So with this in mind, it would be totally remiss for me to not cover physical transformation as part of this New Year series. So for you, I have got an absolute genius on the line for us today to talk about what it takes to become physically superhuman. And you don't need to have the goal to become superhuman. It's quite a lofty goal, though. Respect if you do. Welcome to the club. But if you at least have the desire to optimize an area of your physical performance in some way, then our guest today has the answers. Now, our guest is not satisfied with the base level, standard traditional nutrition and fitness advice. Our guest today is relentlessly seeking to codify what it takes to become superhuman, to maximize our physical ability and experience as human beings, and to preserve our quality of life for as long as feasibly possible. The guy is a freaking genius. Now, I must say, I am genuinely fascinated about the concept of becoming superhuman. It is a personal desire to live a full life for as many years as I possibly can in order to achieve my vision and to experience the many wonders that the human race has at its fingertips on this planet, let alone beyond. So I'm delighted to introduce you to our special guest today. Our guest today is Christian Thomson. Christian is a body transformation coach and mentor from the UK, although that title really does not do him justice. And he uses physiological and neurological techniques to help others to create a pain-free, powerful body. Christian believes that inside every single one of us, there is a spark of greatness that is waiting to become the champion that they deserve to be. He uses the experience that he has gained from working with some of the world's top minds in physiology, neurology, nutrition, psychology, and physical movement to provide a proven roadmap for everyday people to follow. In this episode, Christian shares some unique ways to transform your body and steps to becoming superhuman. His passion and incredible knowledge make him truly unstoppable in his field, and he's just getting started. This guy's going to do such great things, and he's creating massive positive change in people's lives. And Christian is such a genius in his field that I genuinely did not know where to start when it came to the interview, or even how to stay on track whilst interviewing him. His knowledge really put me to the test as an interviewer, so please do forgive me if you catch me jumping from topic to topic in this episode. I had so many questions to start with, let alone at the end of the episode when our time was over. We actually had to sit down and say, well, I wanted to talk about all these things. He wanted to talk about all these things. So we decided that we were going to record 2 episodes worth of content. So this episode is part 1 of 2, where you will begin by hearing Christian's amazing story of going against all the odds to become a world kickboxing champion and how he developed his obsession for becoming superhuman. And we're going to discuss how to become superhuman in all that you do and aim to do in your life, how to feel great and understand the most essential aspects of how your body functions in the face of changing circumstances, how to achieve a superior body conditioning, and how to cleanse the body and understand the markers of overall physical health, plus literally so much more. This is an action-packed episode. So if you want to transform your body, then this episode is for you. You don't have to want to become superhuman, but if you do, you're going to absolutely love this session. It's packed full of amazing strategies and insights to help you go beyond the norm. So, folks, it's a great pleasure to introduce you to my friend, Christian Thomson. Christian, welcome to the Unstoppable podcast. I'm absolutely delighted to have you here. For reference to the listeners, I met Christian at a body transformation event in London with one of my former guests, Lazo Freeman. And wherever I went over the course of the weekend, there seemed to be these little mini breakout seminars congregating around Christian. And there's always a hive of activity. He was always teaching something, walking around with the orange specs on, which I know very well. I used to wear those myself. So I was fascinated by this guy, and when I got to meet him and hear about his journey and his pursuit to become superhuman and teach others to become superhuman, I was fascinated. I said, I need to have you on the show. This is going to be fascinating, and it's a pleasure to have you here, and it's great to have you here as part of this January transformation series as well. So welcome to the show, Christian.
Thank you, Dan. I mean, it's an honor to be on the show after watching listening to some of the previous episodes you've done and the fantastic people we've had on before. I'm very honored to be on the show and to be sharing whatever I have to share with you and your audience.
Awesome, it's my pleasure. So to kick us off, would you just mind sharing in your own words what you're doing right now, what you're all about?
So the best way to describe me is a performance coach that uses psychological and neurological techniques to get pain-free, powerful bodies. And what I'm currently focusing on the most is actually running a membership site called Equilibrium Transformations. And this is geared towards helping others become the best versions of themselves, aka superhuman.
Nice.
So what I was doing and what I do and what I was just telling you before, when we met before, is I focus on decreasing the number of stressors in people's lives, whether that would be auditory stressors in their lives, emotional stressors, light stimulus, electromagnetic frequency stimulus, whether it be physical pain, physical stimulus, whether it be nutritional stimulus. It's just allowing our body to naturally be at its best. I mean, the body loves us. Our body loves us. It's the vessel we're carried in. And if we just allow it to do its job, it works perfectly. It's when we put things in its way that it has to compensate in the best way possible. I don't believe the fact that any of these modern illnesses or diseases are actually our body failing. I believe they're actually our body's best way of coping with a bad situation.
Wow, fascinating. So, I guess you weren't born with this awareness. So where did your journey begin, Christian?
Oh, geez, it's a long time ago. But I mean, ever since as a kid, I was when I was very young, I was actually very, very shy, very, very introverted, very to myself. I would constantly ask questions to myself and no one else. Why are the leaves green? Why is the tree tall? Why does this happen? Why does that happen? Why is the sky blue? And I would introspectively think about things a lot. So I seem to have a natural intuitiveness to a lot of things going on in my environment, but by no means was I the most intelligent person or the most physically gifted, which may sound stranger to people knowing some of my background about martial arts and various other things. But all of that took time and effort, which we'll come back to something on time and effort later as well.
Cool.
So my story really started, I was dyslexic, and I didn't do very well in school. So when I was young, my parents fortunately were dyslexic as well, and recognized this in me and put me into a dyslexia institute from a young age. So I got just about enough help to, pick myself back up to speed. But I was always sitting in between. I was fairly intelligent in terms of emotional intelligence, or just street smarts and all the rest of it. But my academic levels were always much poorer. So I would have all my friends who would be the smarter kids in the school, and I would be always stuck in the groups with all the either the more mediocre or less intelligent kids in the school academically. Again, the academic intelligence isn't always the best measurement of someone.
I agree.
But I was always stuck in this sort of middle ground. And my dad was a Michelin star chef, and he used to work what we call AFDs. So he used to double shifts, triple shifts, everything. And the time I got to spend with him was lying on the couch watching bad martial arts movies on his day off once a week. And he used to practice Wing Chun Kung Fu with Grandmaster Victor Khan, who was taught by Ip Man and the same guy who taught Bruce Lee. In fact, he was in Bruce Lee's class. He was a fellow student with Bruce Lee.
Wow.
So one day my dad asked me, he said, "Oh, do you want to go and try this?" I said, "Oh, yeah, of course." Anytime I got to spend with my dad, or anytime I got to spend around him or doing something in his gaze and his view, was something I was interested in doing. So this is how my career in martial arts started. And this was a very big pivotal moment for me, because martial arts is really what gave me my character as a person, that gave me my opportunities growing up and to become the person I've become today. This was the beginning. Life goes on, still a shy teenager. In fact, I got quite overweight when I was a teenager. From about the age of 11, 12, I put on tons of weight.
Wow. Until
about the age of 16. And I stopped doing all sports, everything, McDonald's, PlayStation, again, just inside all the time.
Wow.
And so I went from being quite an athletic, still shy, still quite an athletic young kid, to being a very unhealthy teenager. And still having almost pathological shyness. It wasn't till about 16 where I went back to martial arts, and I had an opportunity to do kickboxing or karate as one of my sports GCSEs.
Cool.
And when I went through this, I went back to my old kickboxing instructor, and I said, "Oh," this was January, and I said, "Oh, I need to get this standard by May to get a 25 out of 25 of my GCSEs." And he looked at me and he goes, "Yeah, I don't think so." He says, "Okay, this is the grade you need to reach. This is what you need to do. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to happen. I don't think so. You're going to need to work very, very hard. That's it." So I spent basically from that day onwards about 3 hours a day minimum in the dojo, in the gym.
Wow, totally
practicing the basic combinations, doing everything I could. So the grade I was set was like the 4th grade. I had to reach the 4th grade, and I was currently on the 1st grade. So I had to reach the 4th grade within 5 months to get this 25 out of 25. I ended up actually getting 5th grade by April.
Wow.
And on May the 1st, for my first ever adult competition, first ever competition in general.
Wow.
And I won the men's section, the weight above what I was.
Wow.
So, because I accidentally entered all the wrong stuff because I didn't know what I was doing. So I just stood on the mat, scared out of my mind. then people running at you, just go, kick, yeah, punch, just and somehow at the end of the day, I ended up in like people putting my hand up in the air. I kept winning.
Wow.
So I mean, that was kind of the first taste of success I really felt I had in my life. I mean, I'd done nice things before. I had great support from my family. I had nice friends, but that was the first time I truly felt like I had achieved something, and the first time I truly felt like I was worthwhile.
Wow.
And this is something that's very important for people as well in their own journey, in their own story. Is a lot of the times winning is habit, and when people struggle to find that first win and that first point where they really feel genuinely useful on this planet, that can be the reason why people always struggle to self-start.
Wow.
And it's also the same reason why you have these massive sports teams playing easy games in the friendly season, in the preseason for the friendlies, to start getting the mentality right, to start getting into a winning attitude, to start getting into the winning habit, the winning streak. All these things are said by many, many people, and it sounds too easy to be true, right? You know, if you just do one small thing and get into that winning feeling, and then do another thing, and then do another thing, and then do another thing, you just start building that momentum.
Stack the victories.
And again, this was, for me, another big pivotal changing point. It was like, okay, I can do something. I'm valuable. I'm good at something, you know? And so this sort of started me on towards that path. I carried on, became an instructor. I was running a martial arts school for 2 years by the time I was 19.
Wow.
But literally by myself.
Amazing.
I was training and fighting with the British team. I won a junior European title on the same year I started fighting. So my first fight was May.
Amazing.
And I somehow managed to wangle my way into a junior European title fight in October.
Epic.
And with 2 pulled hamstrings, I turned up and actually I was hungover on that day as well. It was a girl I fancied's 21st birthday, so I thought I'd go along to that and then go along to the Junior Europeans afterwards.
Wow.
So I turned up 2 pulled hamstring, hungover, fought in 2 separate categories, lost in the semi-finals of the first category to this Polish guy that's come overseas to fight. Because fortunately the competition was in the UK. Then beat him in the finals of the next category.
Wow.
So I went home with a gold and a bronze.
Amazing. The hangover obviously wore off for the second bout.
It's something like that. I think by the time we got to the finals, it was like 10 p.m. in the evening.
Gosh.
And I got there. I was like, you know what? I'm hungover. I haven't slept. I'm tired. I haven't eaten all day properly because there was a sports arena and they had nothing there. I go, I'm hurt. I've been hit in the face. I'm not having this. What am I doing here? Why am I here? I'm here to do something. I'm here to get something. And I just went. So this is sort of what was going through my mind as I was coming to the finals.
Wow.
I got into the finals. Got sort of a bit beaten up in the first round by this guy. And it's like there was 3 rounds. So I was like, oh, what am I doing here? So I just sort of paced up and down the mats and just changed my mindset at that moment. I was like, why am I here? What am I doing? This is mine. And he just went straight back out and absolutely destroyed the guy for 2 more rounds.
Amazing.
People were like, what happened?
Where the heck did that come from?
Yeah. And since then, I was sort of watched as a fighter by some of the the higher level British coaches and so on and so forth. And I managed to get some really good results and become a very successful fighter. And there's many, many stories we can go through on that. But I mean, that's sort of the beginning of how I gained my confidence and I gained my self-value.
Amazing. When you say you were pretty good, I mean, don't do yourself an injustice. Your track record is pretty incredible. Talk to us about what you managed to accomplish in your career in kickboxing. So
the biggest thing I did in kickboxing, realistically, was I won a world title at technically the the weight above I was normally for.
Amazing.
This is a story of I basically couldn't go for the weight I wanted to because I had retired for a year, and then I came back in because I wasn't happy with not winning a world title. So I'm not happy with this. I'm coming back. I'm going to fight again. They say, you can't fight your weight, it's taken. I said, okay, what can I do? They said, you can fight the weight above. I went, okay, I'll fight the weight above. And, so I won that. In total, I won, I think, about 5 British titles for the main governing body for kickboxing.
Amazing.
And there's numerous other international titles and various other competitions and grand championships and super leagues and all this sorts of, various names of titles that, they only mean stuff to people in the industry and in the circuit. But yeah, I won a few things.
Sounds impressive to me. So before we kind of transition into what happened next, what did that kind of career in kickboxing teach you about mindset and success and achievement, and what did it teach you about yourself?
Well, this is very interesting, you see, because I'm a massive pacifist. Can't stand violence at all. So
that sounds like it.
One of the things that kickboxing taught me is visualization. And with that, I mean, so I would get on the mats and I would be so nervous. So it would feel like heat was literally just vaporizing, it coming off of my shoulders and my head and my back. And I would get on the mats and my arms and legs would be like lead. I couldn't move. And I was like, why is this happening? I'm so fit in training. I'm fitter than everyone else. I do more work than everyone else. Why am I so tired every time I get into the mats? And one day I just was like, I'm not even going to bother warming up. I don't want to know. I just went to sleep. I went to sleep and woke up. Someone was like, Christian, you're on. Get up, quick. I was like, oh, okay. I got on the mats and I was brilliant. I was like, oh my God, this is just like training. Everything's so easy. And then I realized it was because I wasn't nervous. I didn't have time to lose all this emotional energy before I fought. So I started working on meditation, breathing exercises, and various visualization exercises before I fought to keep myself in a very calm, relaxed state. Cool. And this started to work really well. And then I started to be able to implement this without so much time or concentration. I could be walking around and just completely control my emotional state just at a thought.
Wow.
And this was a very powerful tool. And I developed tools for myself to do this very quickly.
Wow. Could you kind of walk through the process of doing that? It sounds like a phenomenal technique.
Well, I mean, with when I was doing it as fighting, it would be very, very simple. I would just have to spend 30 seconds thinking of exactly how the fight was going to start, and another 30 seconds thinking about exactly how the fight was going to finish. Wow. And I was like, this is how this conversation is going to start, and this is how this conversation is going to finish.
Nice.
And one of the other most important things kickboxing taught me is start strong, finish strong. No one cares about the middle.
Wow.
And this is the same with any sort of conversation you have with someone, any pitch you want to do in business, anything you want to write. If the start is good and the end is good, that's what people remember.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree.
People lose concentration in the middle. They don't care. It's just, that's going on. Yeah, okay. And they're thinking about dinner, or they're thinking about, themselves, or we always have the monkey mind, the chatter going on.
Yeah, I wonder whether, so the listeners who are with us right now, what does that say? Where are you right now in the listening cycle of this episode? Tune back in. If you're flicking through Facebook, get back with us.
Yeah, completely. I mean, when I'm doing all of my research at the moment, I have to constantly do that. Sometimes I'll catch myself and I'm reading, I'm like, I don't know what the hell I've just read for the last 2 pages.
Yeah.
So I have to go right back. Okay, what was I reading? And now I don't bother doing anything for longer than 10, 20 minutes at a time without putting the phone down or putting the computer away or putting whatever I'm doing down and away, and just having to think about something else. And then keeping myself inspired every time I'm reading, so I've got 100% concentration on exactly what I'm doing. So I only have to read it once. And when I'm reading it super fast and taking loads in, and it's all just working, and you're in that flow state.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're operating within your kind of body's natural, or your mind's natural cycles.
Yeah. As soon as you find yourself, your attention span just drifting off, it's not a bad thing. It's drifting off. Go with it. Notice it. See it. Are you tired? Are you falling asleep? Are you doing this? Just be aware of what your body's doing. Being aware of what your mind needs. Go and fill that need, and then come back to doing what you're doing 100%. Be concentrated.
Absolutely.
This is again most. It's always so when we were in fighting. It was always the fighter that was looking, that could see, that had focus, that was concentrating. The fighter that would win. If you weren't looking where you're going, you're going to walk into a pole sooner or later.
It's a good lesson itself.
Yes.
So I mean, where did you how did you transition from kickboxing then, Christian, into doing what you do now? What were the steps in between?
I was a coach and a fighter at the same time, so I was coaching other people to do the same thing I was doing, and I was helping other people because martial arts gave me so much. I wanted to give back. So originally I started as a martial arts coach, and I was teaching kids, and I was teaching adults, and I was doing and I went and got a personal trainer degree, and a sports massage degree, and I thought, yeah, let me give back to people, let me help people. So I went away, got my education, came in, started helping people. Go, this is how I did it. This should work for you. And lo and behold, 20% results at best. Like, what's happened?
Wow.
Why isn't this working? Oh, okay. Let's change this a little bit. So I used some intuition, change things around. 30% results. Okay. Still not working. I need to go and find out why it's not working. So then I searched nutrition. The first step people normally go into.
Yeah.
Okay, people aren't. What's working for me isn't working for them. These are some reasons why it could be. No one can give me a straight answer. Why one food works for one person and another food doesn't work for another. They couldn't ever give me a straight answer. I had to find this out myself a lot later.
Wow.
And so I went around and found the best information I could, come back, improve the results I was getting, but still not 100%. And I was like, okay, why can't I get 100% results? So then I was like, people are saying one thing and doing another.
Yeah.
Their mindset.
Absolutely.
So I went to study psychology. So okay, I picked up psychology books. I went and learned from the best people, the best influences that I could see at the time. I emulated other people who were good at what that thing was, what the psychology was, and I started bringing in a lot of more of my meditation techniques and mindset techniques and bringing them together and setting up actual processes to take people through. And again, results improved, but they still weren't really above 50%. And I was like, well, they're doing the exercise, they're eating right, their mind is in a good place, but at least some people just aren't getting the results. Or you'd also get people, for instance, one of my biggest gripes for a long time, until I started studying neurology, was I would have someone that could do a squat really well, but then couldn't do a roundhouse kick.
Bizarre.
But the problem with the roundhouse kicks, the particular thing with this would be, is the problem in the roundhouse kick would be caused by a certain muscle, let's say the sartorius muscle, which your listeners might not know, but it's a muscle that basically pulls your knee inwards.
Okay.
Almost if you're in a squat position or if you're in a kicking position, it would drag your knee inwards. So this action would be the same. So if this muscle was tight and if this muscle had a problem, in a squat, your knee should fall in, and in a kick, your knee should fall in. It should be both the same.
Okay.
But it wasn't.
Wow.
And this would happen countless times. Everyone. They would be able to do, their muscle would work fine in one motion, but not in another. It's like, why is this the case? Why does this happen this way?
Good question.
And it took me 5 years to actually find someone who could give me a straight answer.
Wow.
And this is exactly what it is. This is why it happens. This is when it happens. And even today, that information is not well known. In fact, it's hardly known at all. When I start talking about neurology to people, they have no idea where I've got this from, where I'm talking about. I mean, people often give me too much credit, I think. It's like I just went out and listened to some really smart people. They're the smart people that have actually found this out and created this.
Wow.
I'm just going, okay, this is the right information. Now I use it. It's really that simple. But so, again, I was getting, say, 50% results. And as I came towards more of the end of my fighting career, I became more involved in education. And I I set up a training provider company. So I was the first ever martial arts syllabus to be set up in the fitness industry.
Wow.
So I had a holiday camp sort of company attached to it as well.
Amazing.
And then eventually I got investment in my own gym, and I opened my own gym.
Cool.
So I had some really great successes there. In fact, one of the most pivotal moments in my life was probably the gym. And the reason for that is I had to close it. It didn't work.
Wow.
For various reasons, trouble with investors, sort of that sort of thing. And I was on my back, and I was absolutely destroyed.
I bet.
And it took me about a year to recover.
Wow.
To get back up and go out and do stuff. And again, this is when I threw myself hugely back into education. I looked in the mirror at the end of the year, and I was like, okay, I opened my gym, and I was more intelligent than most trainers. I was I was above the curve. I was creating something. I was at the forefront of the industry. I looked at the mirror a year after the gym closed, and I was like, I just saw myself, another random personal trainer, drifting into a sea of, an ever-growing sea of other trainers, coaches, into a dying industry. And I really didn't like that. And I was like, that's not me.
Right.
It's not congruent with who I am inside.
Absolutely.
Because I had the winning experience. I was
Absolutely,
like, no, I know I'm over here. What am I doing? I'm wasting my time. I'm on the couch and give myself a little bit of an arse kicking. And I mean, the most important thing for people to know is, no matter how well you prepare, no matter how good you are, no matter if you do everything the right way, sometimes life is just going to knock you on your ass for no apparent reason, because that's the way it is. And it's just about getting back up and getting back on with it. And it just depends how long it's going to take you to do that. But the important thing I had on my side was the experience, that I knew that I was here. This is me. This isn't me. And I need to get back over there.
Good man.
So the first thing I did is I surrounded myself with like-minded individuals who were challenging and pushing themselves, because then I had nowhere to hide. I took away every ounce of space there was to hide, and just shone a light on myself. And I was like, okay, you're not proud of being like this. The more people can see you being like this, the less you're going to be like this. So I knew myself how to motivate myself, how to get myself into the best possible space to take the next step forwards and move on. But yes, I mean, this is a big part of how I motivate myself. Is I put myself in a position where I can't hide.
Good, that's good. Great advice.
Because if you can hide and if you can deny it, and the human condition is to delete, generalize, and distort. If you give yourself that opportunity, you will do it. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a problem. It's just what we do. It's the human condition. And at the same time, I gave myself an arse kicking. At the same time, I push myself hard and I take away my hiding places. I also give myself, I give myself credit. I give myself time. I give myself like a little bit of leeway sometimes. I go, okay, you've done all this. Just, you're obviously tired. Take a step back a few seconds. Just like same when actually it's another lesson from fighting. There's no point going hell for leather for 1 minute 30 seconds and then getting knocked out in the last 30 seconds.
You're right. Yeah, as you said, the end is what matters.
Yeah. 20 seconds in, 10 seconds off. 20 seconds in, 10 seconds off. Just intervals of pressure.
Nice.
But then when you're doing your stuff, do your stuff properly. And when you don't do it, when you're not doing it, rest properly.
Awesome.
Don't half do everything.
Absolutely. So I'm really this, obviously discovering the neurological side of things. I'm really keen to kind of dive into what that means and the impact that's had for you personally. And could you just kind of give a primer and introduction in terms of what it's all about, and we can delve into some of the intricacies.
Yeah, well, there's two elements to this. Let's start with the true neurological element, and then if we've got time, we can go into sort of the environmental, more biophysics side of things, which is also very important and comes into great detail with the neurology as well. So when we're thinking about neurology, we're thinking about what is neurology. It's basically your nervous system. Now, what your nervous system does is it communicates information from your environment to your brain. And then your brain can make decisions to act appropriately.
Got it.
So if we think about 3 nerve endings in your skin, which are receptors to your environment, they receive information from different stimulus. So some of them receive pressure, some of them receive, for lack of a better word, pain, which we have various names for different types of what's called nociception. And there's various different types of nociceptors, which receive different types of information, which most common people would consider pain.
Yeah.
Although pain is technically just an interpretation of information from your receptors to your brain that travel through your amygdala and insula, which are two organs in your brain. And then whatever information they deem is painful, then you will feel pain. But until that, it's just a neurological response.
Yeah.
Say a withdrawal response.
It's crazy.
It's actually not pain until part of your brain decides it's pain. That's why pain is so relative.
Yes.
Yeah, to everyone. Everyone feels a different level of pain because their system, their signals in their system are causing different responses in their body personally to their unique individual situation. So we've got these receptors feeding our brain information, and if you can imagine, your brain receives 3 phone calls, and they all have conflicting information. So one says you're in a dark room, one says you're in a light room, the other one says you're in a forest.
Got it.
They're like, the brain goes, well, what's all this about? It puts the phone down, and all of them stops listening.
Yeah.
And then once you start getting this disruption in communication channels between the brain and the receptors of the body, it then becomes difficult to function properly because it's losing information from those areas. So if that receptor is not sending good information to the area and the brain is not listening to that area can now not react to your current environment appropriately.
Got it.
So another way to look at this is if we say a very common problem is lower back pain.
Yeah.
Now, people with lower back pain very commonly have tight hamstrings.
I see.
So most people's answer is, you have tight hamstrings, let's stretch your hamstrings. For me, stretching is a waste of time. And I say this for a very good reason.
Okay. Tell me, I'm interested.
Yes. So if you think about stretching, okay, if your hamstrings are tight, why are they tight? Did the elasticity of the muscle suddenly disappear?
Good point.
Have you become like an old rubber band? I mean, for me, there's very, very few people that have lost the elasticity of their muscles that much that they can't achieve a good range of motion, if not a fantastic range of motion. You think of every single response in the body as having one job and one job only, and that's to keep you alive.
Yes.
Generally through movement, away from pain or away from a problem and towards a compensation. That's all the body is trying to do all the time. So if your hamstrings are tight, why are they tight? They're tight because they're keeping you from a greater evil. So when you try and do a movement and it goes, nope, you're not going any further, what is that feeling? What is that stretching feeling you actually feel? What it actually is a muscular contraction. So when you try and stretch your hamstrings and you get to a certain end range, that's not your hamstring running out of range of motion or running out of elasticity. That's your hamstring contracting and saying, no, we're not going any further. So why does it not want to go any further? Again, because it's protecting you from a greater evil. The problem isn't like hamstring. The problem, that's the solution. So again, what I said at the beginning, I put to you, now, if our body is always trying to find solutions, or the best solutions to the bad situation that we've put it in, ask yourself the question about other problems that we face, other diseases that we face. In fact, there's anecdotal evidence I found. I'm still looking into this a bit more, but I found anecdotal evidence to show that diabetes could actually be an epigenetic condition that used to help us survive hibernation.
Wow.
So if you look at diseases like that, or conditions like that, and say, wow, that's actually something pre-programmed in the body to help us survive an extreme condition. It's just our environments have now changed so much so quickly that our body can't evolve or keep up in the same way.
Wow, that's crazy.
So remember, the body loves you. It's never doing anything to harm you. It's just making the best of a bad situation.
Yes. So how do we then find the root of the problem?
Well, so you'll find with neurology, it's very hard to test outside a lab unless you use this one particular tool, which is manual muscle testing. But the problem with manual muscle testing is it's not so subjective, very objective. So if you put a muscle under strain, you have to be very skilled at understanding what a neurological lock feels like and what a weak muscle feels like. Weak muscle is generally very obvious. Then we also start to come into other terms like hypertonicity, where the muscle can't inhibit. So inhibit means relax. And you also get variations where the muscle's strong and can relax, and then or variations where the muscle just can't contract properly at all. So that doesn't mean you can't move that muscle. That doesn't mean that muscle has no contractile strength. That just means that the rest of the body will be trying to compensate to make that muscle work as least as possible. It means there's a lack of neurological ability to fire those fibers. So people talk in the fitness industry about sleepy glutes all the time. Well, what do you think it is? Your glutes failing to fire. It doesn't mean they don't work. It doesn't mean you can't walk. It just means they're not firing very well. It makes sense. But it's people's ability to understand new concepts. And once you start challenging the paradigm of an old concept that's been accepted and everyone thinks that's normal, that's fine, they stick their flag in the ground and go, I believe in this, this is okay, this makes me feel safe.
Yeah. And
you start going, okay, now I'll think about this. And then they go, no, but if I think about this, I have to let go of this flag and I'm safe here. So you do get a problem when you come up with this new type of information in the old world.
Yeah, people have resistance to it.
You challenge a lot of paradigms. But I mean, everything I've said so far makes sense, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when we look at doing muscle tests, we elicit certain stimulus, whether it be pressure response, rubbing, fine touch, auditory response, even movement of your eyes to certain areas. These are all neurological responses, and we measure those responses through muscle testing.
Okay.
We pair them up. We do something called paired stimulus, which is just about being proven. So there was a study that's been done. They're just writing up the study as it is now. Thankfully, I have an inside track, so I know
nice.
It's been done and it's been successful. So we've now proved paired receptor theory, which means that the receptors of certain the receptors over the body will, when they become dysfunctional, will pair to another receptor. Again, like I said before, we move away from a primary problem and towards a secondary compensation. So you'll physically get receptors pairing from the primary problem to a secondary compensation. So what they're trying to move away from and towards, and what they're trying to use and not use to balance a signal in the brain. So you've got we pair receptors, and then we elicit what's called a DTR, or a deep tendon reflex. And a deep tendon reflex is like when the doctor hits your knee and you have a knee jerk. Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, so this basically sends a quick short loop reset between the tendon that you hit, the central nervous system or the spine, and back to the tendon. And for some reason, this seems to reset receptors.
Okay.
Now, at any means, we don't say that this is the only way to just reset receptors, but this is a common way. There's once you start looking at neurology or functional neurology in the way we've been looking at it, you actually see the reasons why a lot of other therapies work. So, for instance, rubbing, deep pressure are actually two variations of what we call an anti-stimulus. So it decreases the signal of certain receptors in the body. So you can imagine if you go for a massage and you feel great for 10 minutes, you go for a massage, you feel great, you get up, you walk around, you feel great. An hour later, 2 hours later, things start to come back, things start to niggle again. 2 days later, everything's back to normal.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
Does sound familiar, yeah.
Yeah. So now we know why. So hence, I used to be a massage therapist. So I used to be a sports massage therapist. I used to be a personal trainer. And I stopped doing all this stuff. So I realized it was a waste of my time. Like, active muscle release, all these other therapies, all these other things, they work. And the science is correct. But they don't know why they work. And they can't get a result every time.
Yeah, it's not
If you go for a massage and they put the right pressure in two places at the same time and you blink, because a blink is a deep tendon reflex, or you move your arm, if you move your elbow, that could be a deep tendon reflex. If you jerk your knee, if you move your ankle, all these things count as deep tendon reflexes.
Wow. So what are some of the practical applications of this then? So how can people take this on board?
It's amazing. I mean, I had one of the most amazing things I had to actually change someone's eyesight once for this.
How do you mean?
He came into me and he said, I've actually got a video testimonial up on my YouTube channel.
Wow.
This guy called Burgess. And he came into me with problems with his lats. He's saying that he's a big guy, he's a coach, he's a big guy. And he said, oh yeah, just have problems with my lats. One of them, they're just not activating. They're just common. I'm doing, he could do like over 10 wide grip pull-ups, but it's only his biceps working.
Right.
Like going, okay, let's have a look. So he's telling me stories. Like, had this big scar on the back of his head from brain surgery when he was younger. Okay, let's look at that. So started to mess around with that, and I found that he had a pressure-orientated problem around the scar tissue of the head that was causing a massive stress response in his body, so much so that his adrenal glands were actually struggling to keep up with the amount of hormones he was having to produce to keep all the signals running.
My goodness.
So he always woke up early and then finished work about 2-3 o'clock. He's like, I don't like working after that because I'm tired.
No wonder.
Okay.
Yeah,
no wonder. So I reset this and automatically his lats changed. And then for the next 3 days he was wrecked. He was like in bed. He was out of it. He said, I don't know what's happened. And then on day 3 he got up and said, oh, I've got energy suddenly.
Nice.
So, oh, fine. And then day 4 he went to read something and he picked something up and he was like, whoa, what the hell is this? He suddenly said, he explained it like in 20/20 vision. He's like, suddenly I was like an eagle. I could see everything. And what happened was within the list of problems that was all being affected by this pressure receptor in the back of his head was one of his cranial nerves, his optic cranial nerve. So his eyesight was actually being impinged by this problem. I mean, that's one of the more miraculous changes that people can have. But I mean, you when you're looking at neurology, you can affect cranial nerves, you can affect digestion, you can affect energy levels, physical pain. I've seen physical pain of people being removed in seconds. Wow. It's just, like I said, pain is an interpretation of your brain. So if you go straight to the boss and go, okay, change this, that's not painful anymore. And they go, oh, okay, it's not painful anymore. You've stopped feeling pain.
It's crazy. So Britain is full of, and I'm sure, I've got listeners in 90 plus different countries on the show. Just walking around with various ailments and pains just seems to be the norm. Are you saying this type of treatment could get to the cause and create much greater ease for people? Yeah,
definitely. It's when we're using functional neurology, it's such a powerful tool. And this is only one tool I use. This is, again, I don't like saying, oh, this is the best thing for everything. It never turns out to be true. Every single piece of fitness equipment on the market, every single piece of technology equipment on the market, everything everyone sells, they always want to tell you it does everything. I mean, it'll walk the dog, it'll feed the kids, it'll turn the TV on for you, it'll give you a 6-pack, you'll have tons of energy, you're going to be a millionaire, just buy this thing, just do this thing. It's not true.
No, it's not a cure-all.
There's no one cure-all. With neurology, it's a very, very powerful tool. And what I would say is being in pain is not normal. Having a headache is not normal. Having a sore foot is not normal. Elbow ache after you work out, that's not normal. You know? Pain is not normal. Why have we been indoctrinated for so long to think that it's just okay?
He was tolerating it, just accepting it.
Yeah, we just tolerate it, we just live with it. That's it, that's your life now. Sorry. In fact, one of the reasons why I retired from fighting was because I got a hip injury. And everyone I went to said, well, we don't know what's wrong with you. Sorry, you just have to live with it. And I went, no, I don't accept your answer. I'm going to go over here and find out someone so that I get another opinion. And I keep moving around until I found an answer and got rid of the pain.
Absolutely. I live my life like that. I refuse to accept the norm if it doesn't suit me.
Yeah, yes. Stubborn, some people say, but I just say it's smart, But I mean, it's amazing how much pain people just put up with because they think that's the way it should be.
That's crazy.
I mean, I'm still yet to find a limitation with functional neurology, or the system that I particularly use is called PDTR, proprioceptive deep tendon reflex. And there's the practitioners all over the world. I'm not the only guy doing this. So mainly in the US, Australia, and the UK. There's a few people throughout Europe as well that do this. And again, it's just an amazing practice.
But it's quite an emerging. Is it quite an emerging field, or what's the?
Yeah. I'd say it's going to be it's been in the US for a long time, but I think more in Europe. It's emerging very rapidly at the moment in Europe.
It's crazy. I can think of so many people who could, every time I see them, are perpetually moaning about some condition. I'm thinking, I'm just going to send them all to you.
More than happy to help.
Let's get this handled because I'm even thinking about some of the stuff. I bet you could take one look at the way my posture and think, right, there's stuff going on there. We could get.
If you're good at seeing things, you can see it every time you go. Okay, just like stick your hand out and just push down on their hand, and you can see them, and they'll like twitch their neck or they blink their eye or they do something, and this is a compensation, so they're able to do the movement. And it's what the body's doing. The body's constantly compensating for something. The reason why you sit cross-legged is because you're decreasing a problem or increasing a compensation. The reason why you lean onto one side, or that you always cross your arms in the same way, or that you always put your hand on your stomach when you lie down. Everyone has those twitches, and everyone's twitches are different and unique. One of the most fantastic things about the body is we're all built with the same stuff. We all have the same gene code, but due to epigenetics and due to life, we're all programmed slightly differently to be that unique.
Wow.
None of us are different, but all of us are amazingly different at the same time.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I love quantum physics is because it fits with this property. Humans are the same and yet fantastically unique. How can you be both things at the same time? If you look at something like the double slit experiment for quantum physics, where light acts as both a particle and a wave, just depending on whether you're observing it or not, that's the world we live in. These things are possible. These things are real. It's just people's acknowledgement and awareness of it.
Absolutely. I mean, Christian, there's so many things that I just want to dive into. What you and I talked about beforehand, we might need to do 2 parts. I think we definitely need to do 2 parts. We're coming up for time, and there's so many things I just want to dive into.
Yeah, I mean, what I would really like to cover, actually, so if we do a part 2, would be light, stimulus, water, magnetism, and cold therapy as well. Another big thing I very much adhere to is cold thermogenesis, and that's a huge thing. I mean, if you want to know how to lose tons of fat, I mean, immensely fast, and completely change the way your hormones and not only are produced but react in your body, it's one of the most fantastic tools. And light controls every single hormone within your body. So the environmental stimuluses and environmental stresses that we face on a day-to-day basis on those levels of the biophysics, and how that connects in with the neurology, that's another big topic of conversation that would be very interesting to have.
Absolutely, I think that would probably be quite a nice little cliffhanger to leave people on, because that for me, I'm already hooked on that. I'm thinking, right, let's get into that. But before we we're coming up to time.
Yeah.
In terms of the way you work right now, I know we talked about. I'd like you to just share a little bit about how you operate right now in terms of, if people wanted to find out more about you and how you work, how can they do that?
The best way to get in touch with me is either through my Facebook or through my website. So my website is eqtransformations.co.uk, and I've got my Facebook page, which is Equilibrium Transformations, or my personal Facebook page, which is just my name, Christian Thomson. They're great ways to get hold of me. Now, what I do with the website is it's a membership site. So there's a free membership where you can go on and access my blog, my written blog, which will have 90% of the material I write goes on there anyway.
Yeah.
There's stuff obviously held back for the higher level membership.
Yep.
That's a bit more specific, and that sometimes people need to be talked through a bit more, and some of the more detailed stuff. And in that free membership, I also give away some really cool little extras, downloadables, like my ebook, Eat Like a Superhuman.
Nice.
And also another thing is my 7 secrets to tap into your superhuman, which includes how to have limitless energy, how to get the best sleep, how to mitigate jet lag, for instance.
It's just mind blowing. I mean, I said to Christian before the show that I allocated an hour to prep for. I got 3 back-to-back interviews for the show today, and I was just immersing. I got the diamond level package, and I'm just immersing myself in the content. It's just so much fascinating material in there, and so much new stuff. I'm an enthusiast when it comes to the whole concept of becoming superhuman. I've spent a lot of time, especially around the field of developing energy and physical transformation. I've spent a lot of time and invested a lot of financial resources and time resources to learn this stuff for myself, just because I'm fascinated. And there was just stuff in there that blew my mind that I'd never even come across. So it's just a fantastic platform. And like I said, there's just so many areas that I would love to get into with you. And it's the membership site is packed full of this.
Well, I'll tell you, when I've got I have a few events that have been and gone that I've got recordings of that I should definitely let you get hold of as well. And I mean, people can always purchase those recordings, or if you're part of the Diamond membership, the biggest membership, you get them for free. So just to finish off the memberships quickly, there's 2 other memberships: the Gold and Diamond package. The Gold, you get access to the video library, which is plenty of stuff. So there's over 50 exercises that will be on that library, and that's always growing. I'm constantly filming new stuff and putting more and more stuff up there, along with a ton of different workout programs and other bits and pieces there. A neurological library, so I do explain some of the neurological science and some of the biophysics and environmental science as well. Mindset library, so there's various other little clips on that. So the video library is quite extensive and a very nice thing, and that's very, very cheap as well for people. And then you've got the Diamond package, where you get full access to all the site, all the downloadables, all the webinars, all the event recordings. You get extra discount for any events I throw on, so you can come and pay less to actually come and see me live.
Awesome.
And also you get access to a Facebook private group, so you can actually troubleshoot and ask me questions directly to make sure you're getting the most out of the site. And some of the stuff is complex. Most people will have questions.
Yeah.
So and especially to get the most out for you and make it specific. And then there's other people on obviously the other members who have been there longer, often can help you and answer questions as well. And it's about creating a like-minded environment for people to grow as a group and help each other. Because that's one of the biggest things I found in my past, where I did everything alone, and then I ended up crashing hugely. So after I lost the gym, I realized it's not that I can't do everything on my own, because I did it. And then something went wrong. It was unfortunate, by the by, but and stuff does go wrong, you need other people around you. Otherwise, you just fall apart. And I think that's one of my biggest motivations for setting up the membership site as a group orientated thing, is because I think doing things together, knowledge share is the main reason we're here today. The main reason we've evolved to this point. It's the original reason for human beings gathering in groups, is to sit around a fire and share what they knew so they could survive longer.
Absolutely.
So that is the original part of becoming superhuman, is knowledge share. So with the Diamond membership, you have the added extra benefit of a community as well.
Yes, invaluable. Especially if you've got people who are all after the same thing. For me, that's so powerful. And I've had some people on the show recently talking about their membership, who they specialize specifically in creating these kind of membership programs, and just had my mind blown about the power of them. And definitely going to be looking into the membership program for Unstoppable next year as well. It's just that the community side is the most powerful thing. It's those connections that you make, the daily interaction with the people that can help you. That's where the power is. Information can be found everywhere, but it's the implementation and the support that makes the biggest difference, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. It's a huge thing, and you don't know until you're in one as well. That's the other thing. Well, you can be like I used to be, I don't need anyone. I can do it myself. But people just, even if you don't agree with people, they're still going to help you.
Absolutely.
And that's the other thing. It's okay to disagree with people, and it's okay to take knowledge of people that you think that's right about them, but that's wrong. That's exactly what I've done my entire life. I've gone and found people and I go, you're really smart at this, but you're really wrong about this. So I go, this was good, and I'm going to take that, and I'm going to move on and find someone else who has a better answer for the other thing I don't like your answer for.
Absolutely.
That's the only way we can really grow.
So how can people get access to the programs, Christian?
Right, we just go online, go onto the website. If you go onto the homepage itself, which will be the first page you're allowed onto, because you can't really access most of the other site without at least becoming a free member.
Yeah.
So if you go onto the homepage, you'll scroll down, you'll see how it works. You'll see some testimonials or what other people are saying about the group and about my private coaching as well.
Yeah.
And then you'll get to different packages, and it'll all be lined out what you get in them, little explanation about what they are, and then you can just click on the Become Superhuman button and become superhuman.
Absolutely. That is the goal. Becoming superhuman is certainly one of my aspirations in 2017.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, you and me both, matey, and a few others too, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So to finish off, I've just got kind of two quick fire questions which I ask all of my guests at the end of the show. The first one is what mentor or book or source of information has been the most influential on your journey so far?
I would say in terms of books, probably the most. It's a difficult one because I've got a poem that is my affirmation every morning. It's this thing I read every morning. So it's my future self, and it's the poem "If."
Cool.
But if you were going to say a book particularly, it would be The Alchemists by Paulo Coelho. Yes, because that book particularly reminded me that I was going to be okay no matter what.
Yeah, it's a magical book, that one. I had it on my reading list for so long, but I had in my mind this vision that I would one day find this beautiful hardcover version of it. And I just happened to walk past this charity bookstore in Bristol, where I live, and I just felt compelled to go in. And I hadn't been thinking about the book. And I thought, as soon as I walked in there, I thought, I must see if they have a copy of The Alchemist. And I went and found it. It was I'd never seen the cover, but the book was the exact book that I kind of pictured in my mind. And I bought the book and I just plowed through it, and it was just a mind-blowing book. I absolutely devoured that book. It was so powerful.
Believe it or not, I'm not a very big reader, but that book is just on a different level. It's like I normally pick up fiction, and I'm like, or even books within my own field. I struggle to read. I'm just like, bored now. It's not getting to the point fast enough. You're trying to sell me something, or you're trying to. I just want the information. I want the facts.
Yeah.
I'm very straight to the point with most things.
Yeah.
But that book, it completely engrossed me in this story, and I just wanted to know. And I was just going through, and I was like, yes, this, and yes, this, and there's making so many connections throughout. It just keeps your brain so active the whole way through. It's a fantastic book.
Absolutely. So my final question is, I ask this to every single guest: what does it mean to be unstoppable to you?
3 words come to mind. Or 3 things: pain-free, in the moment, and fun.
Nice. Great combination.
They're to me the essence, the essence of being unstoppable, and also the essence and what truly describes being superhuman.
Amazing. Well, Christian, you are truly superhuman. You are unstoppable as well. This has been a fantastic episode. I've just learned so much. My mind is kind of just, there's so much we need to talk about. We definitely will do a part 2 if you're open for part 2. I think that's enough people to start with, and then we'll go and we'll come back and blow their minds even more.
Yeah, I think that was less than half the notes I had ready for this.
Yes. So watch out for part 2. We will be back. There is so much for us to cover. We're going to have a very exciting second session as part of this transformation series. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you and learning more about your journey and your background and your story and some of the magical work that you're doing with your clients. It's mind blowing.
Oh, thank you, matey. It's a pleasure to be on. Thank you again for having me, and I look forward to part 2.
Absolutely. Well, my friends, I hope you are inspired to go out there and become superhuman, or at least pursue an optimized level of living. Christian and I stayed on the line for another 20 minutes after that recording, and we put together a plan for part 2, which we have now gone on to record, and it will be made available to you this Sunday before the solo round on Monday morning. So if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe to the show so that you never miss a beat and you receive part 2 this weekend. And please do share this episode with others. On a quick personal note before we wrap up for the day, it's a primary goal of mine in 2017 to get this podcast into the ears of 1 million people this year. And I will need your help to get the word out there. So please do share this episode. Now, in order to hit that big number, 1 million listeners this year, I know I need to continue to bring you quality guests, and I am very excited about who I've got coming up for you over the next couple of weeks, and I've reached out to some real major big players, so I cannot wait to see what comes of that. And as always, I would welcome your support and assistance in bringing new guests to the show. So if you have someone in mind that could come and blow you guys away, do please come and introduce them. You can contact me via the website, danjgregory.com. All the show notes for today's session will be found there at danjgregory.com/89. Christian's got some amazing resources that he's going to share with you. So do come over to the show notes, danjgregory.com/89. You're going to want to check out those resources. And finally, thinking about this year, I've got a number of new programs and events I'll be putting out, which I know are going to be simply mind-blowing for clients who take part. This is all based upon the feedback from some of my test groups from last year. It's now about getting it out there in a big way and scaling, so I can't wait to bring them out for you. So at this time, I just want to say thank you for listening. I look forward to the next session on Sunday in part 2 of the Becoming Superhuman session with Christian Thomson. So until next time on Sunday, go out there, unleash your greatness, build your empire, make your impact, and live your ultimate life. You are unstoppable.